Thank you for joining me for being our third interviewee for the DeKalb Unknown video series. Could you tell the audience and myself a little bit about yourself to start off?
Well, thank you for the opportunity first. My name is Mayor Beverly H. Burks, and I'm a Georgia peach, so I was born in Georgia. I went to Alabama State University, where I got my my bachelor's of science in computer information systems. And so I've worked with a lot of Fortune 50 companies as a business consultant, technical manager. And then I shift gears and I went into nonprofit, and I started as an executive director for the National Panhellenic Council, which is for the Divine Nine. And so I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha. So it was a wonderful experience to work with an organization that you're a member of.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a great piece. And then I actually became a caregiver for my grandmother at that time. And so I always say I love my grandmother to life.
Mm-hmm.
They only thought she was going to live a couple of months. She ended up living 5 years.
Wow.
And so with that, we had some challenges living, with her condition.
Mm-hmm.
She had Alzheimer's, and she also she was bedridden. And so one day, what struck me was the fact that the power went out. And so it kind of made me have to say, okay, I need to reevaluate everywhere in my community, everything that I'm doing in my community that we often take for granted.
Yes.
And that kind of helped me to look at my city a different way. And when I did that, I just really, really, really started loving my city at that point. And I have a beautiful daughter. She's all grown now. And so that's the good part. She's grown. But when my grandmother transitioned, it gave me the opportunity to do things in my community. So I was able to start being a member of the Planning and Zoning Board.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, I got to know all the zoning boards and regulations and ordinances for our community. And then the opportunity came for me to run for city council. First time I said, no, I can't. I'm not doing it. That's not me.
Yeah.
Second time came, they said, Beverly, if you don't run, no women will be even running for the position. And there won't be any women on the council.
Wow.
So I was like, I can't have that happen. And so with that, I ran. So I won and was on council. We did a lot of progressive stuff as a council member, and I'm very proud of the record that we had. And then I decided, I said, well, hey, let me run for mayor, just differences of opinion, things like that.
Yeah.
Didn't make it, but it didn't change my overall community engagement. And so that's my other position that I have now. I'm the Director of Community Engagement for Fulton DeKalb Hospital Authority. And so with that, I did stuff where I was part of the COVID task force. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things I said, okay, bring the mountain to the people. And so that's a project that I started where we did the mass distributions to pretty much all the apartment complexes in Clarkston, as well as unincorporated DeKalb, and kept staying involved. Mm-hmm. And then the opportunity came up again to run for mayor, and I ran and I won. And in the midst of all of that, I had breast cancer.
Wow.
And so I found out I had breast cancer September 2019. Mm-hmm. And went through that journey, had 6 rounds of chemo, had another, pretty much another year total of treatments. And so while I was campaigning, I had cancer. And I was getting through my treatments with my cancer. And I had the support of wonderful people in my community. And it made me stronger in terms of what I wanted to do and purpose. And so October, I rang the bell. November, I won the election. November 30th, which is my birthday, I got sworn in. And so that's my journey so far.
And becoming the first Black woman mayor of Clarkston, how does that make you feel in terms of your role in being a leader and showing other Black young women, girls even, that you can be a leader and step up to the plate and take responsibility for your community?
You know what? I love the fact that I was first. You know, that's a great thing. But for me, and I've talked to some other women who are also first in their positions, our responsibility is the duties and the work that we do in the position, because then that shows what you can do once you have a position. Mm-hmm. And so the title is great, but you know what contributions I make is the legacy that I want other women and girls and even boys to see that it's possible.
That's awesome. For those that are watching that may have gone through a family member having cancer or themselves going through cancer right now, what encouragement can you give to them?
I will tell you, have a fighting spirit and have a positive spirit. That's one of the things that I did. It was always when I did my first chemo, I was joking with my girlfriend who kind of walked through this journey, and make sure you have someone walk through the journey with you. You know, I said, I'm putting poison in me. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to show this cancer I'm better. And I danced off of Bev DeVoe's Poison. And so that came my theme, that every chemo session I danced, because I was going to dance that cancer out of me, right? And so positive energy, being that support for the people who you know are going through this journey, and being willing to take support. That helped me a lot to understand. I had to change a lot of things about me because of what I was going through with chemo. And actually, I never stopped working. I only stopped working when I had my surgery. I had a mastectomy. I only stopped that, and then that was the day when COVID hit. And so I only took 2 weeks off, but the entire time I was working. And so that gave me strength. And that's the thing, that it can be daunting for a lot of people, but you have to, part of your mental attitude is going to take over what you also have to do physically. And you have to eat well, and you have to think of your body as that temple, and how you treat that temple is so important, not only before you find out that you have cancer, while you have cancer, and as you're going out of cancer.
That's amazing. In terms of your service and like your position as of now, since you're mayor, what are some of your goals as for dealing with COVID and like education and all those things?
Well, I got to run again this year, so but I'm very happy that I'm starting a lot of communication with our community. So one of the things that I started doing was I'm doing summary highlights of each council meeting. Mm-hmm. So that, you know, if you're unable to attend, even though we're on Zoom, and some people, you know, may not want to read it, you know, but I mean, let's be honest. And so what I try to do is just highlight the things that are happening in the meetings, so that at least you're abreast of what's going on. And hopefully by this next meeting, we're going to go ahead and have those translated also. So we're going to have those in multiple languages to relate to our community. I'm working to do things where, you know, I'm doing a lot of proclamations, making sure we recognize, like we did MLK Day, we did Black History Month, we're going to do Women's History Month. We're looking at, I'm doing one for Read Across America, because I'm encouraging people to read to our children, especially now with COVID. It's very important that we continue that early education and early learning with our kids. We did a resolution about AARP so that we could be a livable community, because it's not only for our senior communities, it's making sure that we have something from when you're born to when you transition, that you have a city that really loves you, right? And has things that are meant and built for you to be able to transition throughout your life. I want to make sure in terms of the path that we have the Stone Mountain Path Trail. So I want us to really leverage that in terms of from a tourism perspective, from a transportation perspective. All of those things are really important to help our community. And we're doing a lot of development. So I'm trying to make sure we give updates to our community where we are with our development projects, and also working with our police. So, right now I have something where we're going to do a task force with our police department so that we can provide them the recommended trainings that they need, especially in our community, so that they can be more community policing focused, so that we have better relationships with our community and police. So that's a little bit what I'm doing.
Okay. In terms of, since the community center, we work with a lot of youth, and a lot of youth maybe wanted to get into politics or just helping their community out, period. What are some advice points, tips you could give to the younger generation on how to help their community, but then become leaders in their community?
Well, one of the things I would definitely recommend is you can be a leader whether you are registered to vote or you're not of age to vote, okay? You can start that mindset even before you start to vote. And that's important, making sure that you are politically aware of what's happening, even with your schools. That's important to know what's happening with your school system, making sure that the things that you need as a student, you get, and then working with your parents to lobby for what you need at your even on the high school level, right? And then once you do, making sure that you get involved, get registered to vote, and then work with the council, work with the mayor, find ways to get involved and engage, and then, find those issues that you think are important in the community and work with your elected officials. I talk to a lot of younger people and making sure that those needs that they have, we can also address. But if I don't know, and we're not having that back and forth dialogue, it makes it hard, right? And so I have a responsibility to talk to our community, but our community also has a responsibility to come and talk to the elected officials too.
Yeah. In terms of your upbringing, what challenges or obstacles did you see for yourself or your family that you want to tackle as an adult?
I will say I have been had a very blessed life, very blessed. My father was a physician. My mom, she was a director, executive, literally VP for insurance companies. So some of the challenges that other folks may have had, I didn't necessarily have, but I did have the challenges that impact, like when you think of people of color, people who are Black, women. And so making sure that there's equity. And I believe that's very important, that we create an environment of equity, because when we do that, it empowers people to do more than what they even realize they can do. But if you don't have that environment, it kind of stifles that creativity. It stifles the growth. It stifles the possibilities. And for me, that's one of those barriers that I would love to see, is that from African Americans, from women, that those equity issues aren't there, inequity isn't there.
Yeah. In terms of, since you bring up inequity, and what do you see Clarkston being like in your dream of dreams? What do you see Clarkston being, since Clarkston is such a multitude of different people, different cultures, different groups of people? What do you see that being?
Well, I always believe in empowerment. That's one of the biggest things that I believe in is empowerment. And so I want to see, and I like to call our new Americans, because once they come here, they're really not refugees anymore, they're new Americans. I want to see our new Americans, our existing Americans, to have opportunities of equity and possibilities. And that means if we have to do collaboration with workforce development so that they can get those jobs that they need to be able to support their family and have decent wages, that's what I'm saying. I want to make sure that the kids see that there's possibilities for them and things that they want to do and an obtainable journey that they can take, right? Because sometimes people say, well, I can't do that because I can't go to school because I don't have scholarship money, or I can't do this because I don't have any money, or I can't do this. And never, what is it that I can do? What is it, instead of having I can't attitude, what is it that I can do? And that is the motivation that I want our community to have, is that what can we do to empower our residents? What is it that we can do to empower our business owners so that as we're going through these shifts with COVID, that they have the opportunity to still have thriving businesses? And so looking at how we empower our people, our businesses, our kids, all of those things happen when we have a collaborative spirit, a willingness to work, opportunities and partnerships with the right people who can do those things. That's what I think about in terms of our community.
Awesome. Before we go, what would be one thing you would like to share with the people that watch this video, the Clarkston residents, unincorporated DeKalb residents? What's one thing you would like to share with them?
First, I want to say it's an honor to be elected and serve in this position. And I never take that for granted. That's number one. Number two is I want people to know that it's important to stay involved and be involved in your community, whether it's just your neighborhood, whether it's just around the area in your city, even your county and state and on a national level. It is through your involvement that you will see the necessary changes that we need for our communities to grow. And number three, just put a smile on your face. You know, as someone had a quote this morning, I saw it, you know, one of the best outfits you can have is a smile, right? And being more cordial and having that interaction with our community, that's also important too. Because we've been through a lot of division and we've had a lot of, you know, issues. But if we come together as a community and we work together, we can move mountains. So that's pretty much all I want to say.
Thank you, Mayor Burks, for joining me today. It was a pleasure. How can citizens or anybody reach out to you?
Well, my email address is bburks, BBURKS, at cityofclarkston.com, and you can reach me there, and however you want to call me, whatever you want to reach me, just go ahead. I'm available.
All right. Thank you again, Mayor Burks.
You have a wonderful day.
You too. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.